look at where I am, does it look the same as where we normally go, or is it very different? We've certainly got bluebells, but we don't have Tony knowing where we are yet. So Tony, where do you think we are, just from hearing noises?
Well, it sounds like we're next to a road at the moment, but yeah, I can hear bird noises. I'm not being allowed to see anything, so I wonder what I'm going to see.
Alright, well, I'll tell you what, take your blindfold off now.
Wow, there's a few more bluebells. Yes, we've got the blue in BlueTube today, haven't we?
So do you recognise this wood?
I think, yeah, I know roughly where I am, I think, yeah, but only roughly. Yeah.
And what did you think about the bluebells today? Should we take a look?
Yeah, let's have a look. But they're coming out. They're not at their best yet, but they are coming out, aren't they? It's certainly moved on a hell of a lot from last week, so that's fantastic. Yeah, look, so you see some of these, they're just starting to come out. I don't suppose they're starting to smell much yet. Don't know, you probably hear that smell that in the evenings, but no, they're just starting to come out. So I reckon we're going to get a few weeks of bluebells. Maybe the cold weather means they'll be out for longer, I don't know. But isn't this a great sight?
Well, I'm glad you approve, because if I've been doing my job right, I've been listening to you over these weeks, and I should have found out what an ancient wood looks like. Now, what about the wood in here? What are we looking at?
Well, yeah, I think because there's such a carpet of bluebells, you know, this is almost certainly a remnant ancient woodland. Bluebells are very slow to colonise, so that you might get a few pockets in a newish woodland, or one that's only a couple of hundred years old. But where you get these sorts of carpets, it's probably been here for a very long time. Yeah, so this is almost certainly a relict ancient woodland. It looks like it's fairly narrow. We're in a fairly narrow belt of woodland, but you get this all over Sussex. Little strips of woodland, probably remnants from something that was much bigger at one time. You can almost call them woodland ghosts. You can sometimes see the outline of a wood, and the middle of the wood is gone. You've got little kind of bits or strips of woodland around the edge to mark the edge of where the wood once was. So yeah, this is a little relict bit of ancient woodland. Isn't it fantastic?
Well, yeah, and it is amongst, you can hear the road. There's more housing development around here. How important is it that this sort of woodland stays as it is?
Well, this is the great thing, because if you think of Sussex is a matrix of woodlands. They're all kind of joined up, and you've got the big blocks, but actually it's the way they link up that's so important, because that means that woodland species can get about. Things like woodland birds and so on, they can get about, and even some of the slow to colonise plants can actually move around through the landscape. So if you start losing even these little tiny bits of woodlands, all that interconnectivity goes. So things can't move anymore. They get isolated lumps of woodland rather than nice forested landscape. So these little remnants are so important.
I wanted to take you to somewhere like, shall I take your blindfold?
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to take you somewhere like Binstead, which is under threat at the moment, but there's no 4G in those sorts of places. But when you look at something like the bypass possibly coming through, people will say, well, it's not going to go in the woods. Does that matter?
It does matter, yeah, because thinking of that case around Binstead, the Arum bypass, that's separating the wood from its southern landscape. So at the moment you've got all these strips of habitat going north-south. I think some of them include little chalk streams, for example, and other forms of streams and belts of woodland and hedgerows and meadows. It's going to separate the ancient woodland from that landscape, so things won't be able to move anymore. Things like bat species, they use those as corridors, so it's very important. You'll lose all that if you cut across it.
Well, let's look at what we have got here, shall we? I mean, we're right by a very, very tall oak tree. Yeah, why are they so straight?
Well, there's several things that have happened to it. You can see it's been cleared at some stage, because you can see at the bottom here you've got lots of sycamore that's come in from when it was more open. This must have seeded in. The trees are actually more narrow than normal, so I think actually, they're closer together, so they've grown tall and straight. But probably about, 20 or 30 years ago, this must have been cut in some way. So you've got the sycamore coming in, you've got the hazel, which is got birch and things, which probably came in at the same time as the sycamore. So you can kind of read the way this has been kind of managed. I wonder if it's the effect of the 1987 storm. It might have regenerated after that storm. So you've got an opening canopy. This is very recent. You've got some seeded in, and silver birch, but this is actually downy birch. And the way you can tell the difference when it's normally you have to climb up to see what the twigs are like. But this is silver all the way to the base, which means it's downy birch.
No, but if you say it's silver all the way to the base, then how can it be? How can it be downy birch? It should be silver birch.
They look the same. I think the silver birch looks a bit whiter, but this is basically kind of continuous all the way to the bottom.
Oh, I see. Right.
Look
Okay.
at this one over here. This is silver birch, and the silver kind of breaks up, and you get these black marks near the bottom.
Oh, so it's what goes on near the bottom.
Yeah. So this is silver birch, and that was downy birch.
Wow.
Silver birch grows on drier soil, whereas downy birch grows on slightly wetter soil. So you've got both here, probably all seeded in at roughly the same sort of time.
Now, I'm just looking to see whether we've had any questions yet. We've had some interesting technology issues today, so I'm not sure. If you have, we might have to answer them afterwards because I'm struggling to see what's going on. But I've got questions, so I'll make up for you.
Yeah.
So, well, and are both birch types native? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, because I always thought silver birch. I come from Canada, so I thought silver birch was like North American tree.
There are lots of birches in America. We've got, I think, 3 species in Britain, but one of them upland. So you've got 2 species that we're likely to find here.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got woodland enemies here. We've got regenerating holly. Look, a little holly down there.
Oh yeah, you almost can't see that because it's so light in colour.
Yeah.
And actually, when I came into this wood, you wouldn't have seen this, Tony. I found round the base of one of these trees, and I don't even know what this tree is.
Oh right.
What is this tree?
This is a sycamore. Yes, this big sycamore is probably what's seeded in. All the little sycamores that we're seeing now. So sycamore's a non-native tree. It's been here for a while, and it tends to be a bit invasive. But it does support quite a high biomass of invertebrates.
Yeah, you
there's
can
lots of stuff
see,
on there.
can't you, the gap in it there. Probably loads of things going on in there.
Yeah.
Now, what I spotted at the bottom was quite a lot of different plants. And,
Yes.
and if I've got let's just get rid of my shadow. Obviously, there's a wooden enemy there.
There's woodland enemy there. Nice.
Yeah.
That's a particular ancient
some
woodland plant, very slow to colonise.
Sticky willy.
Sticky willy or goosegrass or cleavers there, which grows everywhere, just likes nutrient-rich areas.
And then what are the pointed leaves there?
That's the Lords and Lady or Cuckoo pint. It's the one I described as it last week. It's got the strange life cycle.
Oh yes.
Yeah, where it captures. It smells like dead meat. So it captures flies and covers them in pollen. Then it lets them go, and then it goes to the female plant. But the female plant catches the fly and doesn't let it go.
And what's amazing, actually, at this level, look at those bluebells beyond.
Yeah.
It is a carpet today, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yeah.
And what have we got here? There's a plant here that I haven't seen.
This is quite small. That's it does grow much bigger than that. That's red campion. This is actually a classic mixture of this sort of woodland, and you get into the weald of Sussex on these clay soils, which are a little bit wet in spring, or should be. You get this mixture. You get wood anemone, bluebells, Arum lily, or the Lords and Ladies, and the red campion. Usually a couple of species of fern, which I've seen around here somewhere. Oh yeah, some more wood anemone, a nice patch there.
That's a different colour there.
Yes, they do. They all vary, don't they, from white to kind of purpley.
That one there looks purpley, doesn't it?
Look what we got here.
Ah.
It's growing quite nicely.
That's a bit of sorrel there.
Wood sorrel, excellent, yes.
I am learning, aren't I? I actually, yes, would love to have. Well, you've tasted this, haven't you?
Yes, this is nice. Yeah, it's probably just about edible now as well, because when it's a bit old, it's a bit ropey, so I'll try a bit. Yeah, it's just about edible.
Well, there is one little plant there. Oh, wait a minute. I need you to get closer because we're on one microphone today. See that one there? There.
That one, this one.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the red campion again. Again, looking quite small. That does grow much bigger than that. It's a bit early for them to be a flower.
Fantastic. Well, yes, I'm having to stay very close to you today. And there's more over this side. So why is it that most of this is all bluebells? And then you get the odd patch like this where you get a bit more diversity of plant life. Why is that?
Well, some of it's probably just, coincidence and randomness, but the bluebells, sorry, the wood anemones like it slightly wetter, so you tend to get them towards the bottom of the slopes. The wood sorrel grows on a kind of humic layer, so it's on where you get a build-up of kind of dead material. So often you get wood sorrel sitting on top of tree stumps and things. Also got a nice male fern here. That's quite big. That's probably scaly male fern, but anyway, that's a male fern.
But that looks like it's had it.
Yeah, well, it's last year's. It's going to probably unfurl fairly soon. I think we'll get some nice new fronds coming out of there. That'll be a nice big fern.
Lovely. Now, the other thing, if you stay nice and close to me, I have got a mask on.
Tule tubes, yes,
yes.
tubes. This is makes me feel that it probably was managed after the 1987 storm. And what we did then was we thought, all those poor woods, they need managing, they need looking after. We better go and plant them up. And you can see it's been a bit of a waste of time, because I don't think that was rounded. Whatever it was round is dead. Meanwhile, all these trees have come and seeded in all by themselves. So if you look at all these big trees, there must be about 20 or 30 years old. So it must have been about the time of the storm.
I'm just going to come round the back of you here because I've got the light in there. That's better.
So we came and we planted up. So it looks like this area was planted up. It's been a complete failure. Meanwhile, nature has done it for us. So we've ended up with a really nice diverse woodland, rather a lot of sycamore, rather than a planted woodland.
So with this sort of woodland, it's better just to let it do its own thing?
We found very often that woods, they've been used to looking after themselves for all this time. Sometimes it's worthwhile to kind of enrich the mixture by bringing other things in, perhaps. Maybe there's a species that's missing, but woods can look after themselves. And we do get a lot, this tends to be what happens though. You can get a lot of sycamore, and that can actually start to take over the wood, and it's a non-native species.
So would you take some of that out?
I would leave it to itself here. It looks perfectly okay. The other thing, actually, incidentally, the other thing you can see here is that the big trees, if you look up in the canopy, they're not in leaf yet. Birch is just starting to come out. They're the light coloured ones. But lower down, you see all this sycamore is in leaf, and that's because the younger trees, the lower trees, try to get some light before their parents come out. So you're getting this two-layered effect. Lower down it's green, higher up it's still to come out.
So they're trying to get ahead of the game now, aren't they?
Get ahead of the game, yeah.
So let me just check on the birch. Let me tell you what I think is a silver birch. It's difficult when they've got moss all over them,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes.
So let's go over here.
Oh, there's
Come
two good
with me.
examples there.
Right, okay. I'm feeling it. I know.
These two over here.
Oh, right, okay, thank you. We're doing a silver birch test here. A silver birch versus...
That one and that one.
Okay.
One of them's silver, one of them's downy.
Okay, so I would say that the one that I'm pointing at now, that one there, is downy.
That's silver.
Oh no, but I thought it was mottled all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, you see, it's got these kind of triangular shapes here. That's silver birch.
Ah.
Here, it doesn't have those triangular shapes. So that's
it's more like lines across, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, that's probably downy birch. Just to make life awkward, they do interbreed as well. But there we go.
Oh well, that's very awkward, isn't it?
Oh, we've got a cherry as well just behind us here.
Which one's the cherry?
This one here. And it's actually in flower.
Oh, it's huge.
It's in flower right at the top.
And is that native as well?
Yes, that's native. You usually get that on the edges of woods, but here we are in the middle. You can see the way it's all been disturbed by things going on. That tree looks like it fell over a long time ago. It's been holding on there. The creaking in the background. Yes.
Oh look, there's a buzzard just going through.
Oh yes, a buzzard, yeah. Yeah, and you can see how thin the wood is. You know, we can see both edges from here. Yeah, it's so rich. Now we're told that bigger sites hold more species, but sometimes these little sites hold much more species, many more species than you imagine they would by their size, and that probably is because they're remnants of something that was much bigger. Looks like we've got a hollow way at the edge there.
Yeah, we can possibly go and have a look. Let's go be safe and stay up here for a minute. There are a couple of things that we needed to cover off from last week.
Oh yes.
One of them was about a bee fly.
Yes, we saw a bee fly last time, didn't we?
And we put a video out. So tell us whether is it a bee or is it a fly?
Is it a bee or is it a fly? Yes, we saw bee flies last week. Do you you remember they have the big long proboscis, so they can actually get the nectar without actually getting the pollen on them, so that's cheating. But it's a bee fly, so it's a fly that's mimicking a bee. So it is a fly, it's not a bee. The difference between one of the differences, I'm not an entomologist, so bear with me, but one of the differences between a bee and a fly goes by the wings. A fly has 2 wings, whereas other insects have 4, and it's reflected in their Latin name. So the bee fly, or flies generally, are of the order Diptera, as in 2 wings, whereas bees and wasps are in the order Hymenoptera, which means very thin wings, that you can see through. So four wings,
Yeah.
and whereas the fly has got 2 wings.
Well, for someone who's not an entomologist, that's pretty good
Close
going.
enough.
Yeah, it's better than me.
That'll do for today.
But most things are better than me on this front. Now, the other issue is about Spanish bluebells.
Oh yes.
You were on television this week,
Yes.
weren't you?
Yeah.
So these bluebells are your subject of the day, aren't
So
they?
they seem to be at the moment,
So-
aren't they? Yeah.
What's the question about the Spanish bluebells?
Well, we
that
have
people-
been really worried about the Spanish bluebell because they get out into from garden escapes, and we've planted them in the past. This is our native bluebell. Spanish bluebell, bigger, louder. This nods in one direction, whereas the Spanish bluebells kind of form more of a cluster. They're kind of a lighter colour, but have got blue stamens in the middle. They don't smell so much, though. I don't think they smell at all. And there were worries that they would get out into the woods and take over from our bluebells because they're bigger than our bluebells. Even worse, there were fears that they would actually hybridise, so the pollen from the Spanish bluebell would get into our woods and basically hybridise with our species. I mean, genetically that means whereas you would have had 2 species, you end up with just 1. So it's this sort of colonisation and hybridisation is a major cause of loss of biodiversity. However, I think there's some more recent science which actually says that our bluebells are much more stable genetically. They don't tend to interbreed so much. So it could be that fear isn't as bad as we thought it was. It's nice to have a good news story when you have some of these threats coming up. So we'll have to watch the science, but it looks like it's not quite the problem we thought it was.
And meanwhile, we can just watch these bluebells forever, can't we? I mean,
Yeah.
you've got a carpet this week, haven't you?
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Right, absolutely stunning.
We've got a maple tree here as well. I'll try not to step on the bluebell. That's field maple.
Okay, let me have a look. How do we know that?
Well, just about see the leaves. There's a bit of a maple leaf there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's it. It's maple leaf.
Tiny, isn't it?
Oh.
Oh.
So a bit like sycamore. It's in the same sort of family.
Is it native?
Yeah, that's very much native.
Ah.
That's nice.
See, again, as a Canadian, I don't expect you to be telling me that silver birch and maple are native to
Yeah.
this country, but of course
Lots of maples in Canada, aren't there?
there are.
Yes, the
That's
more
beautiful.
The
though.
more you look around, the more you can see things going on. If you look at these oak trees, the big oak trees, you can see some of the lower branches are dying. And the reason for that is that these when they grew in the open. But now the canopy's closing around them, they don't need their lower branches anymore. So all the lower branches tend to die. That's quite a natural thing.
But why are these ones straighter than most oak trees? Because I sort of imagine English oaks as being all gnarly and stumpy, and
That's
it's just like where they are.
exactly that. Yeah, they grow in the ones that grow in the open have this classic kind of big open spreading shape. Whereas they grow in a slightly confined space, then they grow tall and straight. If it then closes even more around them, they simply drop their lower branches.
Oh, now we've got somebody wanting to be in our video.
Aha.
I've never had this before.
How does that work?
I have no idea. Let's see, Susan, are you there? I'm adding a Susan.
I can't hear anyone.
Susan Wilson.
Oh, Susan. Hello.
And it says it's adding, but maybe the signal isn't good enough. Oh, this would be very exciting. We've got
I think she's
Ian
in.
Holland and Carol Lincoln and Pat Dodson, Pamela, Auntie Pam,
Excellent.
not with a glass of red wine at this time. Oh, here we go. Hello,
no.
Susan.
No, I don't.
Well, she's joined us, but all I can see.
Excellent.
Hello.
I might have to
Hello.
unplug
But not.
unplug
No,
our
I'm
thing
going
to
to
hear
turn
you.
the camera off because
Hello, Susan.
that's too grey.
I can just about hear you.
Too much grey.
Well, I'm going to have to close you off, Susan. I just wanted to test that out. We've never done that before, have we?
I think she's in Ireland.
All right, well, lovely to see you.
Thank you. That's fine.
Stay tuned.
Yeah,
Stay
lovely.
tuned.
There's the buzzer.
Right, I'm just going to lose Susan. That was fun. I've never seen that happen before.
No.
We have actually lost the top mic, or the microphone that we wanted. So I hope you can hear Tony all right. Because I keep pointing this at you, Tony.
Pointing
so that,
it hopefully at me to see if I can be heard.
yeah,
good,
exactly.
Good.
So no one's complained yet. No. So we should be all right. You just saw the buzzard again, did you?
Yes, the buzzard flew past. We're seeing more and more of them. When I first moved to Sussex in the late 1980s, there was one pair in Sussex.
No way.
Many more now, and now we're seeing more red kites. In fact, even sea eagles now. So things are changing.
Well, I think we might have to draw to a close in a minute, although we're building a little audience here in this mystery wood. Some of you...
There's old stumps here, look at that.
An old stump. You're excited by that, are you?
I always like old stumps. Again, it's a big old oak tree that was here once and it's been cut down for management. You can read how woods are managed by what's around. So it was probably coppiced in the past, but hasn't been for a long time. It's now converted much more into kind of tall trees with kind of little trees seeding in between them. So yeah, very interesting.
So what do you reckon? Do we come back here again, or do we go to our old faithful? Or do we find another guest mystery wood for you?
We're spoiled for choice when it comes to woods in Sussex, aren't we?
Well, as long as we hold on to them.
Yes, absolutely. No motorways through woods, please.
No, don't want that. Right, well, I haven't been able to get any questions in because we've got some interesting tech issues today. But it's been, for us, it's been amazing, hasn't it?
Yeah,
because
nice
this is
to be
just absolutely beautiful and beautiful day. The only thing we want now is what? Some rain?
Oh yeah, we definitely need rain. The thing about the amount of time we haven't had rain. It's supposed to be spring wet waterlogged soils here, but it's not this year. Very worrying.
Now Felicity's just joined. She was confused because we changed the time. Sorry about that, Felicity. This is not rural wood. No, this is not, is it?
No.
I mean, I don't even. Do you know what? This wood doesn't even get a name. The botany. Thanks for enjoy the botany side of ancient woodland. Oh yes, it's definitely an ancient wood,
yes.
But it's literally a strip between some agriculture and some housing near where we are, just off Hill Farm Lane in Pulborough. So it doesn't have a name, and it's absolutely beautiful. There is a BMX bike route through it, which I haven't shown you. But it seems to coexist with the bluebells all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, bluebells are quite sensitive at this time of year, so it's nice not to walk on them and not to have bikes all over them. But yeah, I've mixed feelings about people using woods like that. I mean, people should have fun in woods.
Yeah.
But you don't want to damage them in the process.
Well, let's hope everything can coexist beautifully. And we'll take a little bit of film of the bluebell carpet for you as well to show you afterwards. So under the creaking woods above, thinking about what might happen. I think we'll call it a day, Tony.
Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, see you soon. Bye.